Have you ever felt like you're wrestling with an invisible storm? Not the one outside your window, but the tempest raging within your mind. A relentless swirl of worry, control, and a vague dread that everything will fall apart if you just let go for a single second. We're all taught to hold on, to seize opportunities, maintain our position, cling to relationships, and above all, to control every single piece of our lives. We believe safety lies in a tightly clenched fist, that if we just try hard enough, exert enough control, life will follow our desired course. From a very young age, this deep-seated belief is instilled in us. Power lies in holding on. But what if that very clenched fist is actually suffocating your freedom, your peace, and even your true potential? What if the very thing you're clinging to is precisely what's trapping you in an unseen cage? This isn't a discussion about external issues, social injustices, or racial biases. This is a story about the hidden injustices within our own perception, about the mistaken beliefs we impose on the nature of life itself, keeping us stuck in cycles of mental suffering. You might feel lost, exhausted, or simply trapped in a loop. You might have searched for life's meaning everywhere, only to find disappointment. You've tried every method to find peace, but it keeps slipping through your fingers. Today, I want to share a mind-blowing discovery with you. A revelation from Buddhist wisdom that will not only unveil what's holding you back, but promises to change how you perceive life forever. This is a simple truth, yet it's the key to unlocking the very cage you've inadvertently created for yourself. If you're tired of that burden, if you crave a deeper freedom and peace, then stay with us. Because what you're about to hear might just awaken something within you that has been dormant for too long. To truly understand this invisible burden we carry, to clearly see the cage we construct, I want to tell you a story. A story familiar to those who have wandered lost in the labyrinth of control, yet one that holds a stark, sometimes painful, truth about the very nature of clinging. In the ancient jungles of the East, where life still abides by raw and unforgiving laws, there exists a peculiar kind of monkey trap. It uses no ropes or cold iron bars. It is merely a narrow-necked clay pot, securely tied to the base of an old, sturdy tree. Inside the pot, hunters place an abundance of delicious, fragrant nuts, rich, golden, and enticing. They sit there, silently waiting. Imagine that moment. A curious and eager monkey comes along. Its nose catches the alluring scent, a fragrance promising fulfillment and satisfaction. The monkey approaches cautiously, its eyes sparkling, as it carefully slips its small hand into the pot. Its nimble fingers brush against the nuts, feeling their smooth, plump roundness. Then, with a primal instinct for possession, it quickly grabs a large handful. Its heart fills with triumph, an instant gratification from having obtained what it craved. "This is mine!" A silent cheer perhaps echoed in that innocent mind. But then the fateful moment arrives. As the monkey tries to pull its hand out, the handful of nuts is too large, trapping its hand firmly in the pot's narrow neck. The narrow opening, perfectly designed to hold on to what it refuses to release. It pulls hard, it tugs, its arm scrapes and bleeds. It screams, thrashing in desperation. The entire jungle seems to echo its cries, the sounds of being stuck and powerless. Seconds stretch into hours. Fear washes over it like a flood. Fear of capture, fear of imminent death, fear of the pain. Every beat of the monkey's heart is a desperate attempt to break free. But here's the strange thing. No matter how great the fear, no matter how excruciating the pain, the monkey still refuses to let go of the nuts. It believes those nuts are something it has earned, something it needs to survive. It would rather starve, rather be caught, than release what it holds so tightly. Perhaps in that simple mind it thinks, if I let go, I will lose everything. If I abandon these nuts, I will be empty, I will have nothing left. That is even scarier than death. It is a primal fear, an absurd attachment, a mistaken view of possession and value. And then the inevitable happens. The hunter's footsteps draw near, slow and steady. The monkey, with the nuts still clutched tightly in its hand, is easily caught. It had trapped itself, not by the pot, not by the hunter, but by its own refusal to let go. The trap was not external. It was in the very hand that clenched so tightly. This story, you see, is not just about a monkey in the jungle. It is a sharp mirror reflecting our own lives, reflecting the suffering we endure, and the illusions that keep us spinning in endless cycles. Because, you see, we are that monkey in the story. The nuts, in this narrative, represent everything we try to hold on to in our lives. It could be money, a thriving career, a prestigious reputation. It could be a perfect relationship we try to control, every word, every emotion of the other person. It could be a meticulously planned future, a life script we believe must unfold exactly as we've written it. Or perhaps it's even more abstract, an image of ourselves we desperately try to maintain for others, an outdated belief we cling to, or even past pains and old wounds we refuse to release, believing they define who we are. Sometimes it's the attachment to a fixed self, an identity we've painstakingly constructed over the years, afraid to change even when it no longer aligns with who we truly are. And that narrow-necked clay pot, that is the trap of attachment. It is not an external hostile force aiming to harm us. On the contrary, it is the boundary created by our own clinging. We place ourselves in that trap, imprisoning ourselves in a cage of possession. Every time we try to clutch, to control something beyond our reach, we get stuck. The narrow neck symbolizes the rigidity of our minds, our unwillingness to let go, even when it causes us pain. Let's unpack some of the deep-seated misconceptions about life that we often harbor, the preconceptions embedded in our consciousness, and how Buddhist wisdom illuminates them. Misconception number 1. Safety lies in holding on and control. We grow up with this powerful belief. We're taught to build strong walls around ourselves, to accumulate endlessly, to hold tightly to what we have. We believe that controlling every aspect of our lives will bring peace. But the monkey's story reveals a painful truth. It is precisely that clinging that becomes our chains, the very source of all suffering and entrapment. The more tightly the monkey clutched the nuts, the more impossible it became to escape. The more we try to control life, the more we cling to what we have, the more suffocated, anxious, and powerless we feel when things don't go our way. This is the first noble truth, dukkha, taught by the Buddha. Life is suffering, and much of that suffering arises from clinging to what is impermanent and cannot be grasped. Misconception number 2. Letting go means loss, weakness, or giving up. This is one of humanity's greatest fears. We fear letting go because we believe we will lose everything. The monkey feared losing its nuts, something it had worked so hard to acquire. We fear losing our hard-earned identity, financial stability, love, or even the dreams that have defined our lives. We view letting go as an act of weakness, of surrender. But Buddhist wisdom reveals a paradoxical truth. Letting go is the only path to freedom and true abundance. The concept of impermanence, anicca, teaches us that everything in this universe is constantly changing. Nothing is permanent or fixed. Trying to hold on to a moment, a state, a person, or an idea is a losing battle, a futile effort that only brings exhaustion and disappointment. The concept of non-self, anatta, further reminds us that our true nature is not the things we grasp, not the fixed self we construct. We are awareness, the flow of life. When we release the self that desires to control, we truly become ourselves free. Misconception number 3. Happiness is external, found in what we can grasp. The monkey believed happiness was in the nuts. We often do too. We relentlessly search for happiness in external achievements, praises, relationships, and material possessions. We chase them, seize them, and then suffer when they change, when they are gone, or when they simply don't bring the satisfaction we expected. But true happiness, true peace, is not something you can grasp. It is not an external destination you must fight for. Buddhist wisdom points out that it is a state of mind, a liberation from attachment, a deep contentment that arises when you are no longer conditioned by external circumstances. We often face these injustices within our personal perception, times when we unwittingly bind ourselves, causing our own suffering. The trap isn't in the deep jungle. It lies in our own stubborn mind's grip. And recognizing this is the first step towards finding the path to liberation. The monkey could have escaped at any moment, with just one simple act, letting go of the nuts. But it didn't. It chose death, it chose imprisonment, simply because it couldn't release something that was never truly its to keep forever. And this is the most mind-blowing moment of the story, the revelation that Buddhist wisdom wants to illuminate deep within your soul. This is the truth that can overturn every old belief, every preconception that has rooted itself in how you perceive life. Take a deep breath, and let these words sink into every cell of your being. You are not trapped by life. You are trapped by your own refusal to let go. The trap isn't the pot. The trap isn't the hunter or life's unpredictable events. The trap is the clenching hand itself. It is your attachment to impermanent nuts, your plans, your expectations, your identities, your fears. You are imprisoning yourself in an invisible cage, and the only key to escape lies right there, in that tightly clenched palm. We, like the monkey, often fear emptiness, fear losing what we have. We believe that holding on brings us power, control. But Buddhism teaches that control itself is the greatest illusion, the root cause of all suffering. Because life, by its very nature, is impermanent and anicca. Everything arises, exists, and then ceases. Trying to hold on to something is like trying to grasp flowing water, or hold on to sunlight, a futile effort that only brings exhaustion and disappointment. Truly letting go is not about abandoning goals or becoming apathetic. It's not an act of weakness or surrendering to fate. On the contrary, it is an act of supreme wisdom, of extraordinary inner strength. Truly letting go means you realize these profound truths. You are not what you hold on to. What are you? You are pure awareness, an unchanging presence that transcends all material things or concepts you've identified with. You are not your job, not your bank account, not your titles, and not even your relationships. When you let go of these, you don't lose your essence. You simply liberate yourself from external coverings. This is the understanding of non-self, anatta. The truth that there is no fixed, independent self to grasp or to lose. Control is an illusion, trust is power. You cannot control every wind, every wave, every change in life. And trying to do so only brings anxiety and frustration. The monkey pulled harder, and it got more stuck. When you release the need to control everything, you open up space for trust. Trust in the natural flow of life, in the wisdom of the universe, in your own ability to adapt and overcome challenges, even when you hold on to nothing. This is the power of surrender, not surrender to defeat, but surrender to resistance against life itself. Freedom comes from acceptance, not from resistance. The monkey could have been free if it had accepted letting go of the nuts. So can we. When you accept the impermanence of all things, accept what is, rather than resisting or clinging to what you desire, you will find an extraordinary freedom. Freedom from worry, freedom from fear, freedom from the burden of control. Acceptance doesn't mean being passive. It means you no longer waste energy on unwinnable battles. This is the moment your life changes forever. When you truly let go, the burden dissolves. Fear gives way to peace. Stagnation is replaced by the natural flow of life. Nothing falls apart. On the contrary, life begins to lift you up, leading you to destinations you never dared to dream of. Because when you release what you cannot control, you find true power in controlling your own mind and reactions. You are not a trapped monkey. You are the holder of your own key. And that key is the ability to let go. We've journeyed together, from the pain of the invisible burden, through the story of the trapped monkey, to unraveling the illusions and deep-seated misconceptions about life. Finally, we've touched upon that mind-blowing moment of realization. The trap is not out there. It is in our own clenched hand. The most mind-blowing discovery isn't about finding something new or a complex formula to control everything. It's realizing a simple truth that has always been there, so obvious we often overlook it. True freedom and peace come from letting go of what we cannot control and embracing what is. When you truly let go, not abandoning, but liberating yourself from attachment and the fear of loss, you lose nothing. On the contrary, you gain everything, lightness, peace, the freedom to live a full life. You will no longer feel like a helpless monkey in a trap, but like a free bird, soaring across the vast sky, no longer tethered by any invisible strings. This isn't just a dry philosophical lesson. This is an invitation to transform, an opportunity to change how you interact with the world, and more importantly, how you interact with yourself. So today, who will you be? Will you remain the monkey still clutching the nuts, even knowing it traps you in suffering and anxiety? Or will you dare to open your hand, liberating yourself from the invisible cage you've unwittingly created? Choose freedom. Choose peace. Choose to believe in the power of letting go. Every moment you release a worry, an expectation, a fear, is a moment you liberate yourself from invisible chains. Every time you accept impermanence, accept that everything changes and cannot be held, you are performing an act of courage and wisdom. Every leap of trust into the flow of life, no matter how turbulent, is a step closer to true peace, where your soul is no longer imprisoned by the unseen threads of attachment and mistaken views. You don't have to fight to exist. You just have to let go to truly live. We hope this video has brought you a new discovery, a seed of peace. We, your friends at Buddha's Pathway, believe that ancient wisdom can illuminate our path in the modern world. What are your thoughts on the lesson from this story/parable? Have you ever experienced a revelation or come to a deep understanding about the nature of life that you hadn't seen before? Please share your insights and inner journeys in the comments below. We always look forward to hearing your stories. And if there are any other Buddhist parables you'd like us to explore in future videos, don't hesitate to let us know. Let's continue this journey of wisdom and peace together.